Speed Nerds is your YouTube car game show.
All right, JP, we have tonight a 1997 Porsche 911 Carrera Targa with a 6-speed manual. This is a 993 Targa. This is sort of a .2 JP with the Vario RAM and the 2 sensors. But by all accounts, JP, this looks like a pretty nice car. Our car is listed on Bring a Trailer out of Escondido, California. And our seller is Mikelos Classics. Some of the people in the herd might be familiar with the Mikelos brand. I believe it is a father and son that have a really cool restoration shop. JP, if you haven't met these guys in person, which I'd be shocked if you hadn't, I bet you'd love them. They are very enthusiastic, and their claim to fame, JP, is they make really cool safari cars out of SCs and other G bodies. They are very talented. They do great restoration work, and they are representing this 76,000 mile Arctic Silver C2 Targa with a manual. I mean, JP, look at this thing. The car's pretty. It's interesting, John. Explain to me this one. It's a 97, but it has a basket handle. Is that normal? I really thought that only the 95s had the basket handle. Did all Targas come with a basket handle because of the Targa roof? Is that the gist of it?
I always thought the Targas did come with a basket handle, but I don't know. I'm guessing someone in the nerd herd will be able to confirm that one or the other.
Yeah, help us out. Yeah, because the general rule of thumb is that 95s had basket handles and others didn't, but maybe the Targas all did. In any case, I'm one of the few, maybe JP, I don't mind the basket handle at all. I think this car looks gorgeous on their unique sort of bespoke wheels. Those multi-piece wheels are specific to the Targa, 17-inch speed lines. The silver is super iconic. I dig this car. John, it's worth noting, and this might be the most confusing one I've ever seen. There says there's an accident reported on the Carfax. So of course we open up the Carfax, and between December of 05 and December of 06, there is something called damage report. And it says police accidents are required in California when the estimated damage exceeds $750. Carfax, there was nothing reported to Carfax, but there's an accident that likely occurred between October of 05 and October of 06. How vague and how speculative, and what utter BS that they would do that. If this guy had a fender bender or scratched his own car in his garage and took it to a body shop, shouldn't that remain his own business? Why is Carfax reporting something they don't even have details on? Stuff like this, JP, arrests my sensibilities. I really don't like it. Carfax can go F itself. But it's super unfortunate. I do think it's vague enough that it's probably not going to affect the value of the car. You've got a reputable seller. The window sticker's present. There's good photos from underneath the car. It seems to be a very honest listing. I dig this car, and I think it's going to do very well here, JP. I don't know. I know you've owned a bunch of 993s, but I don't know if you've owned a 993 Targa. John, is this one where the hatch opens like almost like a hatchback, or is that the 996?
That's the 996. Unfortunately, the 993 Targa is a cabrio with a hardtop, basically.
And a big glass roof.
And a big glass roof that slides back. It doesn't have the hatch opening up in the back. How cool would that be if it did? It's funny because these do very well, and they always do way better than cabrios, even though all of the things that cabriophobes say that they hate about cabrios. When a cabriophobe tries to justify their hate, it's usually because, the body flexes and it twists and it makes noise and it's not as good a driver and it's heavier and stuff like that. Well, this car is even heavier than a regular convertible. And that thing is so complex. Boy, anyone who's ever had to deal with one of these knows that it's plastic gears in that top, in that big glass sunroof, and they're known for just chewing themselves up, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars to repair one. So if you do actually get one of these cars, I highly recommend that you never open the sunroof ever. Don't touch that button, just like you never touch the odometer, the trip meter on a 993 or a 964, because that'll just destroy your odometer. But that said, I picked this car because we've talked about a lot of 911s. We always do. We've talked about a lot about how the 993s are kind of seeing a good moment, and of course the 964s are doing well, but the 993s are really starting to catch up to the 964s again. for a while there, the 964s really surpassed them. But we haven't talked about a Targa in a while, and this seems like a really nice one despite the questionable Carfax issues. It's not a salvage title. It's just got an accident on there, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm with you, Deep. I don't think it's going to affect it very much. But before we get to numbers, Zach, what do you think of this car?
Yeah, these are interesting. I feel like the three generations of glass hatch or sliding glass roof Targas are sort of going through a bit of a renaissance right now because when they first came out, after the 964 and the years of the heritage design Targa that we now have in the modern 911s, people kind of tossed them to the side because they weren't viewed as, let's just say, a true Targa in Porsche terms. But now they're kind of getting looked at because they're interesting, they're rare, people kind of slept on them. Now they don't come up too often, and when they do, people are just intrigued by them, including myself. Anytime I see even a 996 or 997 Targa, I just find it interesting because you don't come across them too much. And I actually think they still aesthetically look pretty strong, even though they don't have the more classic Targa design that I do subjectively like better, like we have now in the 991s. But anyway, yeah, I think it's a cool car. It's like you said, it's got the questionable gaps there with some of the Carfax stuff. It's a bit higher in miles than most of the ones that have been on the market recently, but I like it.
Yeah, just quick note. Anthony pointed out that the wheels have some pretty significant scuffing on there, and it is significant on this particular car because I don't know about that basket handle, but one thing I do know about the Targa 993s is this particular wheel only came on the Targas. So replacing a set of these wheels probably not going to be the easiest thing to do. I don't particularly like the wheel very much, and if I own this car, the first thing I would do is change the wheels. So not really a big deal to me, but if someone wants it to be original, you're going to have to get those repaired. But the repair does not look that bad. I mean, any wheelhouse, any wheel repair house should be able to fix that. Michael Deeb, what's this car going to bring right now?
John, our car is sitting at $55,500 on 14 bids, and it closes tomorrow. The average selling price for one of these cars is around $81,000, and that's for a good condition car, and I think that's what we have here. So I'm going to give you $81,997 as my bid. $81,997 when it closes tomorrow, and it'll sell for that number.
997? You sure you don't want 993? I'll let you change it this one time.
All right, 993.
God, you can keep 97 if you want. I mean, that's up to you.
I'm such a bonehead. 999. What was my bid? 81,993. Yeah, I think I went with the year subconsciously. But JP, thank you for fixing my bid. Where are you at, John?
Yeah. I mean, I really like this car. There's some other indicators of flux in the market going on right now. I mean, earlier in the weekend, at the end of the week last week, we had some talk by the feds of there being something of a soft landing, that inflation is being curbed, that we're down to 3.2% or something ridiculous, and that there's even grumblings of a potential interest rate drop. It probably won't be a whole lot. The big question is, do you believe any of that? I mean, the way they factor it, or the way they calculate inflation these days, doesn't include all the things that used to be included, like things like energy and housing and food. So I don't know what the heck it is that they're looking at when they calculate inflation. And we still have to remember that just because inflation is down, quote unquote, that doesn't mean inflation has gone down. It just means it's not going up as fast as it has been. So, okay, great. It's still 30% from just a few years ago. So, okay, I would definitely like to see it go down significantly more. I don't actually think they should lower interest rates, in my opinion. But the point of all of this is that I think there are some indicators in the economy that may come across as positive. So maybe some people will be more likely to make some purchases. It's interesting that, again, I'll go back to Anthony. From Our Smiths, he sells fine Swiss watches. That's not just a plug, but that's another indicator, I think, of what is going on in the market. He says that because of what's going on in the political landscape, a lot of his customers are holding off on buying luxury goods like, $10,000 watches. This car is definitely not something that anyone needs. No one's buying a 993 Targa because they need to get to work. normal new car sales are still in the tubes. Unless you're selling Toyotas or Hondas, no one's buying new cars right now. So this is definitely something that someone's looking at purchasing either as a long-term investment, either as a hedge against inflation, or they just have always wanted one. So my number, I'm actually going to be strong on this car. I think, thank God, we averted a true disaster on Saturday. And I think because of that, Americans just kind of go back to business. Well, all right, it was a millimeter away from disaster, but it's still a millimeter away from disaster. The disaster didn't happen, so business as usual. I think this car is going to do pretty well, but I don't think it's going to break 100. I'm going to say 99,993 and pass it on to Zach.
Give it to me again, JP. Give it to me again. What was it?
99,993.
$99,993. Zach, before you give us our bid, the herd is speaking up. Randy B, I think, is still tipsy from his last business dinner. He gave us a bid of $105,500. We got 92, 84, 83, 82, 82, 75, 77. So, Zach, now you've been warned. What's your bid on the Targa?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm like in the high 70s. Let's go for 80. I'm feeling 80.
80,000. Very good.
Yeah,
JP,
80,000
two-wheel drive, manual transmission, iconic colorway. I think that's what's driving this one. I think they will certainly have a bigger influence on this result than the ghost theoretical Carfax report, which just I can't tell you how much hearsay on a Carfax report boils my blood. That's just
that's
bullshit.
Really annoying. I hate Carfax.
God.
We have seen some really strong results for 993s over the last few weeks. So I don't think Randy's drunk. I mean, maybe he is, but I don't think his bid is out of line. I hope this car does well. What do you guys think this 993 Targa will bring? Let us know in the comments below. Hey guys, you got to check out our friends at Godden Porsche and Godden Classic of Las Vegas. If you're looking for parts or service, or if you want to add a classic Porsche or even a new Porsche to your collection, give Godden Classic a call. Guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if bid nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
3 days later.
All right, JP, let's check in on the 1997 Porsche 911 Carrera Targa. This car was on Bring a Trailer out of Escondido, California, showing 76,000 miles. JP, we like this car. You and I both like this car, and I thought this would do well, despite I think there was one little, sort of history mark on the like a super minor, vague thing on the Carfax, and we wondered if that would hold this car back because there was nothing specific on the Carfax about the alleged incident. So, John, I gave us a bid of $81,993. You took the over, and I mean way over, at $99,993. And Zach Miller was our third nerd on the last show. He joined us and gave us a bid, took the under at $80,000. Sahan, what do you think? Nice, fair mileage, silver black Targa manual, but they says there's an accident report on the Carfax, but the Carfax says, we think there was an accident during this 12-month period, but we have no details on it. And that's it, which is really kind of criminal, if you ask me. That's like just spreading rumors. So do you think that would affect the value, and what value would you give it as this car would have hammered a couple days ago?
100%. Porsche people, and not even just Porsche people, but like anybody spending that much money on one of these old cars does not want to have something like that. If not because they don't even if they don't care personally, they know that if they want to turn around and sell it one day, they're going to answer that same question, right? And having something like that, it almost would have been better to have a small accident and have pictures of it so that they could show what actually happened versus something where they don't know, right? People don't like that, as it turns out. Also, it's a Targa, and I think 993 Targas are probably not as sought after. But that's tough. It's a nice car, obviously it failed to sell. 75.
75? Damn good guess. Geez, Sahan, you should have been on the last show. You would have won every one of them. Let's see here. Okay, so our car, JP, our car hammered for $76,500 where it failed to sell on 30 bids. My first question to you, as we give a congratulations to Indy, who guessed $77,000 in the chats, is that result, you think, because of the news over the weekend, as this car's auction ran the course where it straddled pre-assassination attempt and post-assassination attempt, or do you think that has as much to do with the vague notion of a potential accident on the Carfax? Because certainly this was a nice car with a decent presentation, and it didn't even get to any of our numbers. It was basically below the lowest number that we guessed. More to do with the Trump situation and the news, or more to do with the Carfax, combination of both? What's your read, JP?
Yeah, just real quickly, I want to let everybody know we apologize for Sahan's audio. Sahan, we're gonna need you to find some headphones that you can plug in. Because you're really clipping out really bad. So I apologize to everyone for the poor audio. But that said, yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch this auction close, and I wish I had, because I wonder if there was something else in, I don't know, in the comments to get to the bottom of this one, because this one really is a head scratcher. This car should have done better. So we shall see. Sorry guys, we're a little distracted. Deeb, close this one out, will you?
Close out my audio?
No, talk about the car for a little.
Oh yeah, absolutely, very good.
Sorry, everybody.
I wasn't sure where to go with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, a nice Targa like this should have brought 90 grand. You know, when we're talking about something that's, you know, nearly 25% off. You know, we typically say that an accident in the Carfax could cost a car as much as 30%. So to me, reading the tea leaves on this one, I would say that we're looking from what should have been a retail value for a car in this nice condition with fair mileage. The retail number that was hit by the audience on Bring a Trailer really represents them taking into account this potential accident to the rear end of the car so many years ago. So I actually think that number is right on the money. And the fact that it didn't hit reserve at 76,500 leads me to believe that BAT had an unrealistic reserve set. And I just don't understand what they're doing. Like, who makes the decisions at BAT that allows for such unrealistic reserves to go live on their platform? Because, you know, when you have this many failures to sell, I think that is, you know, sort of negative marketing for the brand. You don't want people who are ethered up to bring their car to market to your site, you know, hesitating about should I or shouldn't I commit because I don't know if it'll sell. They have to do a better job of policing the reserves up front to maintain a really high sell-through rate, so that when somebody's ethered up and they get their photographs and they're committed to selling their car, they rush to their platform, their device, and they submit their car, and now they're committed, and you're going to get the sale. This is, to me, this is just bad policing on BAT's part, and I don't think you could argue around that at all. At 76.5, this car should have sold.
I think the car should have gone for more. I think people were distracted on that specific day, but I think look, we made 3 bids, or we watched 3 specific listings on the last episode, but you guys kind of behind the scenes, inside baseball thing, we have multiple cars on our little spreadsheet, and it was funny, the cars that I picked apparently were all cars that we reviewed, and they all failed to sell, where there were 3 other cars on our list that we didn't review, that Deeb picked, and they all sold. Here is, I just pulled up the results page on Bring a Trailer. I haven't analyzed this at all, but you look at, this DeLorean was bid to 51 grand, didn't sell. 51 grand, that car should have sold. And everything else sold. You got to go down halfway down the page to find a 28-year-old 1965 Aston Martin Mini Cooper that didn't sell for 11.5. That's just a weird car. The stuff that's not selling, here's a 40,000 mile 87 911 turbo that was bid to 112. That car probably should have brought a little bit more money. So I can see that one not selling, but most everything is still selling. It still looks like probably 70 to 80% of everything on BAT's listings is actually selling. So it's really hard to make an argument that the sky is falling, that the market is crashing. I think people are somewhat distracted, and some of the cars that were bringing really big money maybe are softening or at least correcting. But Sahan, I think you said it too, is that, it's a Targa 993. That's just not the most popular of the 993 variants. I know convertibles probably the even less popular, but the hardtop Targa, people know that Targa on the 993 really is just a hardtop convertible. And in a lot of ways, they're worse than a convertible when it comes to performance and all those things that people don't like about convertibles. So I don't know. I think the 993 Targa is struggling. It's a beautiful looking car, but I'm kind of with you, Deeb. Maybe it should have sold. I don't know. I'm indecisive on this one. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip from a live episode of Bid Nerds. We go live every Sunday and Wednesday night at 6:30, and you can join the conversation. We hope to see you on the next live episode of Bid Nerds. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show.